The SUV right next to me is not only off-road capable, but actually pretty luxurious. This is the 2024 Mazda CX-50 with the Meridian trim. I'm James, this is Test Drive. Let's take a full tour of the best Mazda CX-50 that money can buy. First up, we're taking a look under the hood. We have Mazda's Skyactiv G 2.5 liter engine with a twin scroll turbocharger. That's gonna give us 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. Now you can only get those numbers if you put premium fuel. If you choose not to, you're only gonna get 227 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, and that's on 87 octane. But again, that isn't a big deal. So with all the specs and numbers out of the way, let's take a look at the rest. So as usual, we are up front first with the Mazda CX-50, the Meridian trim. We have a very nice zircon sand metallic paint color. I really like it. It looks very off-road ready. It looks like it's not going to show the dirt, although it does show the salt from the dirty Montreal roads. Now zooming in a little bit, we have these really nice daytime running LEDs with the main headlight bulb right in the middle there. They also have automatic adjusted high beams, so the high beams will come on and off automatically for you. I really like this front grille. It's very beefy, it's got a big chin to it, right? But I do like the stance of it. We can also see a little bit lower here, we have the turn signals right there. For the most part, I feel like people see me, but I always worry when cars make their turn signals low. But so far, so good. I really like the front end. My favorite part is the fact that we have these hood decals that also come with the Meridian package. You have the CX-50 in like kind of logoed right there with it looks like a big black sticker almost, but it's really, really cool and I like it. One last thing is we also have a front-facing camera and a bunch of parking sensors because this is the full trim of the Mazda, so we have everything we need. So next up, we have the side profile for the Mazda CX-50 with these, with these painted black on the underbody here. You can see that it's very off-road ready. Again, you don't really see the dirt. It is a little dirty here, but on camera, it's not showing. So that's also very nice. I like the fact that we have some chrome as well. We have one-touch lock and unlocking doors, which is very nice. And then if we go over to the mirrors, we have nice turn signal LEDs, as well as these mirrors will power fold. I like the rims too. Again, very off-road ready. Looks like it's ready for any terrain, and also looks like it's ready for the winter. As you can see, I'm standing in a little bit of snow. It's starting to melt, but still, it kind of fits the ambiance. I do like the way it looks, specifically in the snow. The only kind of thing we're missing on my tester for the CX-5 is the fact that we don't have roof rails. That you can add a package that's going to add some racks for some stuff or some storage up on top there. We don't have that, but I don't mind. And I just like the ride height of it and everything like that. You can see from the front there how aggressive it looks just off the side profile. Very nice, and you get a really good view of this paint and a little bit of chrome too, so it doesn't hurt. Last but not least, we're checking out the rear for the Mazda CX-50. Now, I like these iconic tail lights. Now, what else do we get? We have a rear-facing camera. We also have a bunch of parking sensors here in the rear because we do have a 360 camera that we can use. We have the Skyactiv G Turbo badge as well as the all-wheel drive CX-50 badge. Of course, this comes all-wheel drive standard across the board, which is fantastic. I like the fact as well that Mazda isn't afraid to hide their exhaust pipes. Some of these SUV makers do not show us the exhaust pipe. Mazda is still showing it to us, so I really like that. Last but not least, let's pop the trunk open here a little bit. And of course, it's an automatic tailgate, which makes things even more better, just adds the value. Perfectly opens, no problem, and we have a ton of space here in the rear. We also have a CX-50 badge right here on the mat, which is a nice touch. A little bit of storage under the carpet. If you fold the seats down, you'll have a ton more room. We also have a little privacy screen that pulls and retracts that you can also remove should you not want it at all. So it's pretty fantastic so far, but I've got more to show you, so let's hop into the interior. So here I am now sitting in the back of the really nice interior Mazda CX-50. So like I said, best CX-50 money can buy, and on the interior, boy does it show. So you can see we have this nice tan color for the seats. The seats in the back, by the way, are actually really, really comfortable. I have just enough room where it doesn't bother me too much, but a little bit less than I was expecting, if that makes sense. So my knees are kind of pushing into the driver's seat slightly, but I do have a ton of foot space under the driver's seat, which is very nice. Also, what kind of makes up for the space issue is the fact that it's cold out and I have heated seats here in the rear, both the person on the driver's side and the passenger side. Fortunately, the middle seat, you're not getting any rear heated seats, but we do have a cup holder that folds down should you have nobody in the middle. But honestly, it's really not that bad. It feels pretty good back here. Also, I have a nice view of my sunroof, which is nice too, so I'll take it for what it is. really, really hard to complain about it since it is relatively affordable, the price point for the top trim of the Mazda CX-50. So rear is all right, but I don't know if I do too much of a long road trip. But let's hop up front because that's where I want to be. Let's go. So in the driver's seat now for the Mazda CX-50. And like I said, very, very nice place to spend time. The very not boring at all interior colors continue. We have nice stitching all around. The only place I'm missing like this brown stitching is the steering wheel. That would have been a cool touch, but unfortunately it's black, but still, it looks fantastic in here. I like the black line that goes down the middle of these seats too. It looks premium. Maybe it is at a premium price, so that's good news as well. So what else do we get? We got a Bose speaker here. We have 2 memory seat settings. We have a button for 360-degree camera controls, which is very nice. We have a button to turn on or off the iStop, which is the auto stop start system. When you're stopped at a light, the engine shuts off. No problem there. We have this really nice feeling steering wheel. I like the feel of it. It's a little bit upscaled from the Mazda 3. I find that the interiors of the Mazdas are very, very similar. I think they just trade off kind of materials, which I don't mind because if you've driven one, you driven them all, you just get better stuff in the higher trim ones, which I don't mind at all. So we go to our analog and digital gauge cluster here, which again, completely fine with it. Exact same thing as we saw on the Mazda 3 a couple of weeks ago, but I don't mind it. I really like the mix here. I like what they've done with it. Usually I'm not a fan of it, but the way that Mazda does it, they do it flawlessly and I like it. You can see all the information you need, speed, everything like that. I do also have a heads-up display that can display things like my cruise control speed and different stuff like that, but usually I just have it set to the speed I'm going so I can look ahead and just see it. It's not a burden, doesn't get in the way. I like it. Next, we can go on to our infotainment display, which does wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, or the wired version, which I tend to use a lot more. And again, it's just very, very simple. We do have built-in navigation for the CX-50 Meridian trim, which is nice. I don't need it because I have the Apple CarPlay, so it's nice to have if you don't use that kind of stuff, and it's nice that it's built in the car too. But again, it's easy to use. You have this little turny knob here that you can rotate. Some people are gonna hate it, some people are gonna like it. I am impartial to it. Don't like it, don't love it, but I will say it's very, very convenient to use while you're actually driving. You're not messing around with the touchscreen and you're just kind of able to navigate it with this little ball here. It's very nice. I have some, tuning knobs for the volume down here too. So again, I'm not reaching, it's all right here. I also have those controls on my steering wheel, of course. Now, we do have dual zone automatic climate control, exactly the same again as the Mazda 3, but effective, very simple to use. Physical buttons, nothing controlled in the infotainment. I like that a lot. I have heated seats, I have heated steering, and I have ventilation in this one for both the driver and the passenger. So again, hard to complain about that one too. Got 2 cup holders, a wireless charging pad, some drive mode selectors, which we'll talk about when we drive. In here, I have a USB normal port, which is this thing kind of splits and opens for us. Very nice. Overall, it's a really nice looking interior. It is not boring by any means. It feels luxurious, feels premium, and it feels like it could take a beating off-road. So I can't actually take it off-road, but I can take it on the Montreal roads, which are pretty much the equivalent. If you know and if you drive here, you understand what I'm talking about. So let's take it for a test drive. Let's do it. So here we are on the road with the 2024 Mazda CX-50. Top trim, most expensive Mazda that money can buy, and I have been pretty comfortable all week. And it's not really rained or snowed or anything, it's been mostly cold, which is fine because it is fun to test the vehicles in the colder weather. But since it's not an electric vehicle, it performs like any other gas car. But I've been comfortable, going over the bumps and like different types of ice and some frozen snow on the road sometimes in some areas. But really, it's been really solid. Ride quality's been pretty good too. We have a little bit of performance. The only other drive mode I have besides sport is off-road mode. So when I told you in the beginning that they're trying to tap into the off-road market, well, there's your proof right there, as it is, we have the off-road mode. So of course we do have a little bit of speed with the all-wheel drive system, so I'm gonna slow down just a little bit here and then give it the gas. Oh yeah, not terrible at all. Not terrible at all. And it's definitely got a good amount of get up and go. Doesn't actually sound that bad either, which is really cool. In sport mode, the steering in general is just firm. So if you're into that kind of thing, even in normal mode, it's firm. In sport mode, it's even more firm. Body roll, on the other hand, is pretty in check, actually. I think with a more off-road oriented vehicle, you want to allow for a little bit more body roll than something that you would take on the track. But again, Mazdas, you're not really taking them on the track unless it's like a Miata or something, which would be really cool to drive one day. But yeah, the CX-50, you're more taking it on the trail than on the track, and for that I think it's pretty suitable for it. And especially like in winter weather, especially here in Montreal and Quebec, you really need something that's gonna be able to get you through the winter, and something off-road oriented never hurts, because sometimes driving in the Montreal weather is like driving off-road. Now, like I said, a couple weeks ago I showed you the Mazda 3, and it's really the similar interiors. The interiors of Mazda is really similar, and maybe some people would, dislike that. They want to see something different. Personally, I really don't mind. I find it that, you just get higher quality materials here in the CX-50, because it does cost a little bit more. It's a little bit of a heavier car. It's an SUV, so you get spatial stuff too. But I like the fact that everything's kind of the same, and it's just trading off features and a little bit of upscaled materials. But I think it's cool because I know exactly how to use everything. If I've driven one, I've basically driven them all, and I don't hate that. I can't hate that. It's really cool. So let's talk a little bit about fuel economy. I've done about like 100 kilometers, give or take so far, maybe just a little bit over that. And I'm doing 11.3 liters per 100 kilometers, which honestly isn't bad. I can't complain about that. That's right around the level that I was expecting it to be. So not a huge problem there. You're not really going to spend that much at the pump. Again, we do have different, premium versus normal gas. Your output horsepower wise is going to be different. But again, I think most of the buyers of the Mazda CX-5 are not going to care about that. They're probably going to go and put regular gas in it and just never think about it. And then, if you remember that, oh yeah, I get a little pep in my step if I put some premium gas in it and I spend a little bit of extra money, well then, you can do that once in a while too. We do have like a auto start stop system, which I don't find annoying actually. Usually in most cars I do, but in the Mazda CX-50, I don't find it annoying. I think it's pretty seamless, especially when I'm parked somewhere and I'm just waiting for something to happen, or like I was parked in the car wash line, say, and put the car in park and it just shut off and I didn't care. It stayed perfectly warm in here. Heated seats stayed on because it's freezing still. But yeah, it's really cool. Now, something else I wanted to touch on as well is the general seat comfort. Now, seats look fantastic, back and rear, really good. I just found that the seat bolstering was or the seat feeling on my back is more on the firmer side than I was expecting from a top trim Mazda. I don't know. I just couldn't figure out how to get a comfortable spot going, and I don't feel like there's that much cushioning here, which is surprising to say, but my only thought is that because this is more off-road oriented, you don't really want something too cushiony. You kind of do want to feel the road and what's happening, and that you can. I do find I get a lot of feeling through the seat from the Mazda CX-50, so I wonder if that's the trade-off. It was just surprising that I don't have that, it's not as fluffy as you'd expect it to be, which is interesting. But we do have lumbar support and stuff like that, and that does help. The fact that you have this little bubble that can come out in the middle. Usually I don't use them, but in the Mazda CX-50, I do find myself actually needing to use it to be comfortable. But seat comfort and ride quality are two different things. I find this still does ride pretty smoothly for the price point, really. I mean, yeah, 51K is pushing it for an SUV, but for the amount of features you get in here, for the nice look that we have outside and inside, 50 is right on the money. Maybe you don't really want to go over that, and I think they're right at the limit as to what I think is acceptable to probably charge for something like the Mazda CX-50. But yeah, overall I've enjoyed it. Having Dial test it out during the summer months or just at the end of the summer, me getting to test it in the winter, I find it's really cool. Different color, same trim, but still different opinions, which is really cool. So I just I just took this one because I wanted to see. I've never driven a Mazda CX-50 before, and I'm glad I have, because this steering wheel also feels really fantastic. There's subtle differences between a lower cost Mazda and a higher cost one, and you definitely do notice them. Mazda does still do an excellent job at making things feel extremely premium without really going crazy on the price point, and that's I think going to be the main selling point for the Mazda CX-50. I think it is, because I do see quite a few Mazda CX-50s around in my area, so you got to give it to that too. So I think that's going to do it for our driving segment and for the video. Unfortunately, for the Mazda CX-50, like I said, I've enjoyed it so much. Ride quality is pretty good. Seat comfort could be better, but I don't feel like I'm missing anything else. Everything else is really, really good. You got space-wise, fuel economy, it's not bad either. It's got a little bit of pep in its step for it, and if you want to put more expensive gas, you can get even more power out of it. So hey, we've got almost all the best worlds that we could ever want out of a family kind of oriented SUV, and I think that's great. I think Mazda Mazdas, you know, once again hit the nail on the head. They did it with the Mazda 3, impressed me there, impressed me once again with the Mazda CX-50. Really, really solid choice. I understand now why I see so many of the Mazda SUVs out on the road. Maybe not so much the Meridian trim, because I think that is maybe out of some people's price range that are looking for a Mazda, but I have seen a couple of them in the gray, the one that now reviewed in the summer months. So they are out here and people are buying them, which is, again, good news. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and if you liked it, go watch another one. We have so many videos here, so much variety, so many different cars. Oh my goodness, we are just pumping away with the vehicles and just going non-stop on the content. So you have so much selection to choose from with any one of our hosts here on PRN. So make sure you go watch another one. With that being said, I'll see you the next week, see you in the next car. Take care.